Hey, welcome to another episode of Fireside Technique. My name is Jake, and today I want to talk a little bit about working into existing tattoos or allowing for existing tattoos whenever you're designing your work. As you start to move into larger scale tattooing, you will inevitably be dealing with other tattoos that are right in the middle or right up against the larger designs that you're trying to make. And there are a few questions that you need to learn to ask yourself and a few specific ways to think about it that have really helped me in transitioning to larger scale pieces. So I'm gonna pull AJ back over here. You may remember him from other episodes, but AJ, we're doing this, we're building a sleeve off of an existing tattoo, an older piece that's on his shoulder. And so the first thing that I wanna ask myself is this something I'm gonna work with, or is this something that I need to cover up? The idea here is, and I think Jeff Gogwe in a recent episode that we did, if you haven't seen the Jeff Gogwe episode, you should absolutely check it out. He made a remark that really stuck with me, and that is, whenever you're dealing with old tattoos, that is what is. This can be anything. So you always have to deal with what is first. And now, obviously with something like this, this is a decent sized shoulder piece and we're building off of it. We know we have to deal with it. But the way that Jeff presented it, and Jeff, if you don't know, does very large scale bodysuits and things like that. And he said, if I'm designing a piece that goes from the neck to the ankles, and whenever I strip the person to their underwear and start to photograph them, if they have a small tribal design on their calf, on the back of their calf, that is where I start. So his idea is that is what is. What is that, and what do I have to do to allow for it? Whereas when we're dealing with really large scale stuff like that, a lot of us would just go, well, I'm doing a tattoo that's 10 times that size. I'll just deal with that tattoo whenever I get to it. I'll find a way to cover it because it's small. I can hide it in the shadows. But really, the smarter way to think of it is this thing is already here. I might as well address it on the front end and make sure that I'm handling it in the best possible way, because this is the easiest time to deal with it. It's only going to get more difficult the more that I box myself in with the design that I create. So my first question always is, am I going to work with it, or am I going to cover it? In this case, even though this is aged, it's a water theme and we're continuing a water theme. So that was a pretty easy decision. I knew that we were going to work with the tattoo. The second thing that I think is, what are the major shapes? What's dark? What's light? I want to simplify the problem. We're never going to solve a problem by making it more complex. We'll only solve a problem by simplifying it. So instead of just saying, well, I'm going to go in, reline it, sharpen up the colors, and then just blend right off of it, I ask myself, what can I use in this really soft, diffuse stuff? Is there some stuff that could sit way back in the background, and the fact that it is aged might be an asset to me rather than a liability? What are the major shapes directionally? What's light? What's dark? So in my mind, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, there are two kind of major elements. We have a lotus that sits back here. We have a koi that sits right here. I want to think about my light source. Even though there's not a lot of dimension to this koi, it looks like it's lost some color probably over the years for sure. It looks to me like the light is striking the koi from the top and also the lotus from the top, which means as I move down, I have to keep in mind that my light source is coming from the top. If I underlight this squid or this sea turtle, if I light them from the bottom, now I have competing light sources and it doesn't make any sense, right? The next thing is, what is the shape that this sits on? So I'm thinking about the shapes within and then the major shape that it sits on. And I'm trying to just abstractly find some contour, some lines that make sense to me. So if I have a sharp line that goes through here, maybe this turtle head goes through, makes a cut this way. Maybe I repeat that by doing it again here. Maybe if I'm going to make the background dark and then this is light, I want to make the squid dark and then this light and then the lionfish dark, so that I have a nice balance of dark, light, and I don't end up running lights into lights and darks into darks. So these are the kind of things that I'm always thinking whenever I'm looking at a piece. And I'm fighting the urge just to go, well, I'll clean it up and make it look a lot better. I'll sharpen up the lines, I'll pump up the contrast, and then I'll just let the tattoo be what it is. Anytime we're working with other people's work or with old existing work, we have an opportunity to really do something special for that client and make it even better than it was when it was done originally. Not just bring it back to its old glory, but to instead think about what can I do to really push it and make it a better piece than it even was whenever it was done, 8 years ago, right? 8 years ago. So thank you guys, as always. I hope that helped, and we'll see you next time.